Relax. So you stated you've been sober for like 2 years. Is that something you think about all the time? Is it a daily thing, or is it something like?
I love that question because with the sobriety, the really cool thing is it's not something that I think about every day, like, oh, I wish was drinking, or I wish I could drink. It doesn't occur to me only when I am in moments of gratitude and I'm thinking about what is really awesome in my life, and I'm like, oh, this shit would not have happened if I were still like drunk watching Netflix in my room. And so that's when it occurs to me that I'm like, it's so cool not to drink.
Is it because I think everything comes with like rationing. You could do too much of anything. Do you think it was more of a compliment drinking or smoking or whatever you were into until it became more of just like I'm gonna do this for everything?
Um, it invaded my life. I was never good at it, if that helps to answer your question. I was never a good drinker. The first time I drank I was 15, and that led to tears, and I think the next time I drank after that led to a blackout. So I was never good at it. There would be times when it was, I white knuckled and I paid attention and I tried to just have like 2 or 3 drinks, and that would work sometimes. But oh my God, it's something that for me really crept in. And actually, so I'm 45, and it is very, very common that people get to their 40s and it becomes a big problem. Something that we think we're going to outgrow in our teens or 20s, and it just really gets progressively worse for a lot of us.
Did you? So was this something ongoing to like through your 20s and 30s? Was it like a 2-decade thing?
Yeah. I knew for a long time, and it was just bugging me. It was bugging me in the back of my head. Those days you would have the morning after where you tell yourself, I'm never drinking again, because you feel so horrible, or you're so embarrassed about what happened, or you're like, oh my God, I don't remember even driving home, but I know I did. But it was something that was just kind of bothering me for a long time. And I would have bouts of not drinking, which included, I kind of replaced that addiction with fitness competitions. So if I was always training and counting calories, I did not have time or calories to spend on drinking. So about 2 years, I didn't drink, and that felt amazing. But I had just replaced it with something else to keep me busy. But yeah, it was something that just kind of like took over my life, and then it became on days that I didn't want to drink, I was. And I'm like, I didn't plan to, and I didn't want to, but I still did. What the hell is wrong with me?
If it doesn't feel amazing, if it feels amazing not to drink, when you drink, is it sort of like eating a cinnamon roll and then it feeling great while you're eating it, and then afterwards feeling bloated?
I would say feels great for like the first bite, because you are enjoying that. And I was just having a talk with someone about this. That first sip or the first drink, or even just ordering the drink and knowing it's coming, people tend to have like a calm. They already feel like they've had one sip, it's not even in your system yet, but they already feel like they can relax or something, because it is just their soothing technique that they've used for so long, and they think, okay, now I'm not working. Now it's me time. Now it's whatever you attach to it. So yeah, if a cinnamon roll is your cheat day or your special time with like no kids or something that you could just have time for yourself, then it could totally relate to that. But I'm telling you, when I think back on that, like I would enjoy maybe the first glass. And then after that, it just like created so much anxiety. And sometimes I would get anxious even before having the first drink, because I was like, oh my God, how's this night gonna go? I don't even know. Is this going to be good? Am I going to be able to hold it together? I would sit. It's funny because I really love people now, and it is a common belief, what I've found to be a misconception, that people need alcohol to be a social lubricant, to feel more comfortable in those spaces. It actually made me so anxious and introverted because I didn't want to slur. I was worried about getting up to go to the bathroom in case I walked wobbly and someone laughed at me or I looked obviously drunk. And I didn't participate in conversations because I didn't want to say something silly. So I was really just like a little shell that sat in the corner. Like I was not participating in life and even at social functions. And I noticed on nights that I didn't drink, I had so much more fun with people. And I didn't care if they were drinking, I was having a good time. And that is something I've held on to, and I really like people. so much more since I stopped drinking. And it's probably because I like myself too, because I'm bringing something to the environment I'm in.
Does drinking prevented you from learning yourself? Like for those 2 decades, like you didn't really know who you were?
Oh, for sure, because it's like having the sunglasses on and they're like so streaked and messy and you can't even see clearly. It's really like that. And I didn't know anything about myself because everything was just like fuzzy and filtered out. I mean, you don't have a chance for other things to come in when alcohol's always in the way. So it's really like these last couple of years has been such fun exploration and things like ballroom dancing, which I love, and improv comedy. And just doing those things that I always thought, oh, that might be kind of neat, but never gave myself a chance to try. So I've tried a lot of new things these last couple of years. And I am getting very specific about what I enjoy, and also I know when I'm not enjoying something anymore, I've gotten what I need from it, and now I'll explore something else.
Yeah, like you don't have to stick to something for like a decade. It's okay to jump.
Yeah, nothing has to be a huge commitment. We can try everything, hobbies, activities, new adventures. You can try those things once and then you really know if you do like it or not.
Yeah, let me know how swinging goes. I don't know. I just feel like it's a swingers commercial right there.
Yeah. I was picturing a playground, so that's a basic I am. Like, oh, right. I did live in Salt Lake City, and there was a community there. I do remember. But yeah.
Mormons in the nighttime, swingers all day.
They were a lot of things all the time that was not by the book. That was an interesting environment. I will say about Salt Lake City, that is a place I noticed that my drinking got really bad, being in that very suppressive environment of wanting everybody to fall in line and stuff, and I just didn't fit. I did not feel comfortable there ever, and I lived there for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And when I think about talking about when, because I'm a flight attendant and I was based there for 12 years, and I'll talk to coworkers about living there, and I'm like, I don't know how I did it for 12 years. I'm like, oh, yes, I do. And they don't sell liquor on Sundays, so you become a hoarder. You become a hoarder, and you have to go to the liquor store only when it's open, and the hours are really, it closes very early. So I was always there stocking up the wine rack that didn't make it through the weekend, ever.
Do you think, because I know that, because personally, I indulge in marijuana, do you think, and that has a negative connotation, or at least it did for the past 100 years, because, it's a drug, you don't do this, your body parts will fall off. Do you think that alcohol should have the same connotation of, the same thing marijuana did of being, illegal, or just, this will ruin your life type of deal?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because we can allow anything really to ruin our life if we get obsessed, and I have only smoked marijuana, I think, 3 times in my entire life. The last time was 6 years ago, and I think I still have brain damage from an edible because I didn't know you weren't supposed to eat the whole thing. But I don't know if that habit is, from my own experience, if it is so addictive. I feel like it's probably a safer option for people who have sleep disorders, if it's really used at night instead of Ambien, because I've seen people really messed up on Ambien that should not have been working. And I've never taken that either. But I don't know about the alcohol. I mean, it's good that it's up to 21, that they raised the age to be 21. I'm not sure what the answer is on that, because I don't know, going from having it be legal, since after Prohibition, having it be legal again to just making it illegal or requiring a prescription. How would you even justify to a doctor getting a prescription? Not
making it illegal, but just kind of not making it as not making it as a light thing, because I don't know. Personally, I just think that the way marijuana or weed is kind of described, at least for don't do this, your life's over. You go to the church and they're you're smoking weed, that's the devil's grass. But at the same time, they're drinking at the bars or drinking at their house, and we just talked about kind of the repercussions you've had for yourself. But I rarely see that as much in weed, as far as people abusing someone or just beating someone up.
Yeah, you don't see that aggressive behavior that can happen a lot with alcohol. So that's true. I just think people don't understand until they're far into it, like what the effects can be of alcohol. And I definitely had dick mode activated.
Like your attitude, right?
My two.
Okay. I was pouring around town.
I could mean a lot of things. Lived a lot of life. But, sometimes where I've been around people who have smoked weed, and the only person that I ever saw that was still an asshole after smoking weed was someone I was in a relationship with. And I'm like, oh my God, isn't that supposed to make you like nice and calm?
I just think they didn't like you.
That would explain so much. But I'm like, oh, this was supposed to like calm that. And it definitely didn't. But there are things that I would say and stuff. And if you go back, if you're wondering if you have like a problem with a substance, read your text messages from when you were under the influence. Because oh my gosh, girl, some of the things I would say to people, you're so cool when you're typing it out. But I just reinstalled WhatsApp and I saw all these messages pop up. And the last time I had WhatsApp active, I was still drinking, and I was just like, what? This is just, it was like reading a really bad book, autobiography of someone else's life, looking at those. But I don't know that I answered your question.
No, I was just curious for your perspective on that, because personally, of course, everyone knows like the benefits as far as, you have anxiety attacks, that can kind of help with that. Sleeping, that's what I used it for a majority of the time back when I was younger. But yeah, and I just don't, as far as there being claimed the devil, and maybe it's just because white people drink alcohol, and it's just like, we're not gonna get rid of that. It's just like black people smoke weed.
It is such a moneymaker. Like, it is a huge machine, and it is, watching movies, seeing ads, like, it is so hard to, even on Instagram and stuff, my name is Awesomely Sober, and I get targeted for alcohol ads, but it is just everywhere, and like the dangerous thing, especially that I see that just makes me like cringe and makes me so nervous for a lot of people, is the mommy wine culture that has just become a huge thing, and that is just so accepted, and that's what can make it very difficult to also accept that it shouldn't be in your life anymore when you've grown up seeing it. You remember your parents having drinks with their friends, and they're boisterous and they're fun. They're having a great time, and you start to relate that to if you're drinking, then you're having fun, then you have friends, and there's all of these great things with it. And being curious, I think when you get into your preteens and adolescents and stuff, you want to try it because everybody else is making it look so fun, especially those hot girls in the commercials and the print ads and the music videos, if they even still play those. Like, music
videos?
Yeah.
I feel like
do those exist?
They're more movies now, kind of like a movie for the song.
Okay.
But no, I definitely feel you on that. Yeah, I was curious on that. As far as you transitioning and finding these hobbies, does it, because Naomi was just talking about, somebody asked her like, how do you get over a breakup, and I just think the way to do that, for me in the past, I just jumped into basketball. I jumped into a hobby. Do you jump into these new things like improv and dancing just so you don't think about it?
Oh, so staying busy. That's what I did a couple of times. See, I've had bouts of sobriety and relapses, and the difference with this last time, that's been like 2 years and 3 months, so my sobriety date is September 17th, 2019. The difference is, this time I wasn't trying to busy myself. I was just like, there's so much more to life that I don't want to miss anymore. And so I got really focused on like the joy and the good things, and I, instead of like going to meetings and talking about what's wrong with you and focusing, I didn't want to think about every day that I am an alcoholic. And if I drink, if I'm not drinking, I just feel like a happy, sober person. If I were drinking, I would feel like a total alcoholic. So talking about it all the time just felt bizarre to me, and it didn't make me feel so good. So I didn't love the idea of meetings all the time, and to sponsor, up on my nuts, trying to, check in with me every day and stuff. And I'm like, whoa. I am very, I have a big bubble around like my personal time and space. And that just wasn't going to work for me. So this time I did go to a couple of meetings, which is fabulous for fellowship, for connecting if you want to be busy doing something that is not, that's around sober people. That's great. But I was just like, I don't want to spend all this time in these meetings talking about what a mess my life was. I want to like be doing things I enjoy that make me love my life now. So that's what I started doing. And it was really a beautiful thing. And then your mind just starts to feel so clear. You start to see things clearly, but then you can deal with them. So sometimes, so I have another friend that I was just talking to, and it helps me to talk to people too who are struggling that reach out and we connect, because they ask questions that help me recognize like, oh, how did that work for me? Or what did I do in that case? Or how would that feel? And she was talking about that if she stops drinking, these feelings are going to come up from childhood trauma, from things she didn't want to deal with. The feelings are going to come up and she doesn't know how to deal with that. And I'm like, okay, well, now you're at a crossroads. And the fact is, both are going to suck. So right now, drinking is making you miserable. And it's making you have so much anxiety. And knowing that you're not dealing with these things, they're still bothering you. It's just like, now you've got this too. But you clear that out of the way, now it's going to suck for a minute. One thing is going to get progressively worse and probably ruin your life if it already is a problem. And the other thing is going to be super uncomfortable for a little bit, but you're going to start to heal. So which way, like choose which direction you want to expend your energy, because both are going to suck for a little while. But this one, I recommend because it's going to get better.
So it sounded like more for Alcoholics Anonymous that kind of becomes your identity of being a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because it seems, there's this episode in the show called Black Mirror where they have this device in their head where they're able to have perfect recall and they can rewind to thoughts back like 100%. So if we got an argument, I could say, you said this. But it also, a part of recovering is also maybe forgetting. So where do you kind of see like, because maybe it sounds to me like, I don't know, I've never been there, I don't want to say like this is it, but remembering maybe brings you fear of, I don't want to be back in that place, but also forgetting realizes like, this is my past self, I'm going to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think on that?
I think that, so what I found this time, and also with a previous relationship, so alcohol is so relevant to like being in an unhealthy relationship because it's how we relate to things and people. And letting go of alcohol, I was just like, oh my God, what I was keeping active in my mind was all of the horrible things about it. The way I would feel, the interactions I had, the waste of time, all of these things that I didn't want in my life anymore. So I would think about those things. I don't think for me, it wasn't beneficial to focus on a bad incident that happened or some behavior that I'm ashamed of, because I feel like now that I'm not drinking, that's like an atonement for bad behavior I had, and an apology where necessary, if that feels good and right. But so I don't drink anymore, so I can let go of that shame because I'm not that person. I was like, I don't know her anymore. But remembering, and the same with people, like trying to get over a breakup where you want to romanticize the past, and of course we want to focus on good things about everything, about experiences and people that we care about, but we can definitely slip into romanticizing drinking because, oh, we were at that amazing party, or we were at that nice restaurant on the rooftop, and this concert, yeah, well, I don't really remember the show. It's like, it actually wasn't that great. So I connect memories like with people that I don't want in my life anymore, and a substance that is not welcome in my life anymore. I just keep it connected to the shitty parts. And so when I think of that person, I think of the pain. I don't think of the things that I enjoy. I just think of the pain and the things that hurt me, and the same with alcohol. And then I'm just like so grateful. I'm like, I'm so glad that is not in my life anymore. And everything just feels like it makes sense again.
Was it ever escalating your issues with alcohol, or was it pretty steady with just like this is drinking? Did it escalate to any other drugs or substances?
It didn't, and the reason for that, I believe, is because of my job. We get drug testing, and I I am naive in a sense that I don't think but I lived in West Hollywood. There was obviously a lot of people around doing drugs. I just didn't know. But I have a job that I am drug tested randomly. So really, like, in the airline industry, alcoholism is a huge problem. Because that's, like, really, if you're going to try to soothe with an over-the-counter medication, that's about all you got. And there's a cutoff point within hours of reporting to work that you have to stop drinking. But that's, like, really, because people cannot smoke pot for sleep or anxiety, and it's kind of a lonely lifestyle. So that's where I was kind of starting to look around and go, like, am I a sad person? Because I was on overnight trips in beautiful cities, and I just wanted to be in my room drinking by myself.
When you're a flight attendant, since you're by yourself a lot of the time, do you think there's a lack of accountability since you're not coming home to someone, you don't have to talk to someone all the time?
Yes, and that is such a good question, because the thing that I remember I used to with my first husband, because I've had two, because I'm extra. But with my first husband, I remembered, like, I would be well, yeah, I'm going to bed, just want to say goodnight, via text, and it's 5 o'clock. And he's like, oh, hitting her. I'm like, yeah, I got to get up really early. But I just didn't want to have to talk to him. I just wanted to zone out, tune out. It wasn't a happy marriage, so that probably had a little bit to do with it. But yeah, like, being by yourself. And then I realized, like, I can't run from the person I am. And when I would decide not to drink and then drink anyway, I was like, oh my God, I just kept letting myself down over and over. And that's something you can't run from. And so when I first moved, I was about 2.5 months sober when I moved to Arizona from Hollywood. And I was really nervous because I was living by myself. And I was so, like, I just felt, I felt real squirrely being by myself, because the reality is I could do it and nobody would know. I could drink and then still, like, proclaim my sobriety and loving this life and stuff, but I'm like, I would know, and that would be the worst part. That would be the torture. It's like, there's nowhere to run and hide when something is just like, taking your soul. I felt like I had no soul. So I just kind of, and I didn't have my TV hooked up. I didn't have any money because I spent everything to move down here. And really just, like, staying home, like, me and my dog looking at each other like, yep, we got this.
So for kind of when you're by yourself, I feel like a lot of people, the common instinct is to be alone, but it's always, at least me personally, I always think it's better to be around people.
Yeah.
I was like, where did you find people, or at least what were you doing in Hollywood, LA at that time?
To be around people?
Well, yeah, kind of, because you're a flight attendant, and I don't know, did you move there for work?
Yes, I did. And it was, like, such a beautiful change from Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I can believe that.
To go to West Hollywood, and I'm like, I love everybody. It was just like, it felt normal. The nice thing is, even walking your dog there is such a social event. Dog parks. Oh my God, dog parks were the best. Yeah, I felt like it never felt to me like a lonely place. Like, people love to talk, they're networking, they're hustling, they're creative types. Like, people were so interesting there. Really, really loved the vibe. So, yeah, dog parks, gym. I always knew my neighbors because I was out with the dogs and stuff, and other flight attendants, and there were hiking trails like Runyon Canyon right there in West Hollywood was super fun, and you might see Zac Efron with his shirt off. Just saying, it has happened. But it's always like, I just love this city so much. But yeah, staying connected. And so when I moved here, I had a couple of friends already. But what I've done and what has been so great is really built up just like a circle of awesome people. Some of them drink like normal people. Like, when someone has one drink on the plane and I say, oh, would you like another one? And they're like, no, that's plenty. I'm like, for whom? That's why we have these tiny little glasses. Like, oh, that's enough. And I'm like, seriously? That's what I know. So I drank way more than all these people. But
just low-key peer pressuring people at your job. Do a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm an alcoholic, but you should totally drink because it's free. But yeah, like, staying connected, and I just have a great group of people here, and that's the thing, I was becoming so antisocial, and that was also against my nature too. I value time with like my dogs and chilling out and reading a book, and quiet time is valuable because my job is just like everything's loud all of the time. But oh my gosh, having a great friend group to check in with and stuff, people every day, I love it. It's so nice.
Well, to kind of wrap up, one last question. Do you think it's, when you look back in the last 20 years, do you wish you maybe would have dealt with this issue differently, or do you think that's what you needed to kind of be where you wanted to be in the second phase of your life? And say 40 is the second phase, I don't really know.
Yeah, you know, I have moments where I'm like, ugh, where, you know, the regret of time lost, time wasted. But then I think if I would not have had those relapses, if I would not have made some poor decisions, all of that got me to the place that it suddenly made sense and became easy. And some people will not like me saying easy. This time for me, it has been really easy. And I think it's just like truly making that decision, unwavering. I totally got out of the gray area wobble zone and was just like, I want to be sober, and this is going to be my life, and I'm not going to miss any of that shit. And it's because of all of those experiences. And I just say, like my last relapse, that's how I knew for sure that I shouldn't drink.
What would you say to that person that's maybe kind of doesn't know if they have an issue yet, say with alcohol or any substances?
Well, you know, if it is on your mind and it's kind of that you're contemplating it even, it's very good to take a look at it. And also keep in mind, someone doesn't have to be like a messy alcoholic like I was to feel amazing not drinking. And I think we just make it too difficult. We just think it's like, oh my God, it's for the rest of my life, and oh my God, I'm gonna have to tell people I'm an alcoholic. Well, you don't have to tell people anything you don't want to tell them. For me, I was just very comfortable being open about it because it released the shame of it. Because I'm like, that's me, that's my freak flag, and I'm flying it. And that just made sense for me. But you don't have to be an alcoholic to not drink. There's a lot of people who just fascinate me as well because they don't drink because they just don't like it. I'm like, really? Or I'm not interested, it gives me headaches, so whatever. So if it's on your mind that you feel like when you are drinking, you're overdoing it or you're kind of regretting the behavior the day after, definitely just say today I'm going to do something that lights my fire, that brings me joy, and it's just happens to not involve drinking, and then see if you can do it again tomorrow. And then you're going to start feeling really good and looking good, and you're going to want to stick with it. One day at a time.
Lovely. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Fade to black.